there's a difference between professional learning communities and what I've started calling professional doing communities. Professional doing communities are groups of teachers, often given common planning by their principals, who get together during this common planning period, and they essentially work on tasks that all too often have very little to do directly with teaching and learning and progress kids are making or not making in their subjects. Instead, what I see as I travel to schools, I see a lot of teacher teams who have been called PLCs, professional learning communities, who are reminiscent of the 1980s when we decided that students should be working in what we were calling back then collaborative work groups or collaborative groups. And it swept the country educationally. Every teacher was told by principals that it was important that kids were doing collaborative working. They were in groups, and so teachers obliged. They put kids together in groups, and what happened was not teaching the kids how to do and how to perform and what to do in those collaborative groups. And in fact, without teaching them how to collaborate in the first place, kids turned into social. Teachers thought it was a failure. These groups that were formed by students, by teachers of students, really weren't effective in raising the bar for kids' learning. I see that same pattern happening with adults. Principals, well-intentioned principals, are putting teachers in groups, calling them teacher teams, calling them professional learning communities, arranging the schedule so that they all have common planning period, those teachers who are teaching the same grade level in the case of elementary or the same subject in the case of middle and high school. And what is happening is, without any clear direction about how to collaborate, what to be collaborating about, these teachers are floundering much as student work groups did back in the 80s when everybody thought collaborative learning was a good idea. And again, it's not that collaborative learning is not a good idea. And it's not that PLCs or teacher teams having common periods to plan is not a good idea. The problem breaks down, or the problem becomes apparent, when without proper guidance, these teachers are basically put in this environment without any guidance or direction. And so what I'm about, and what I wrote a whole book about, is what should these groups be doing? What should these teacher teams be working on? As DeFore says, it's not so much that they're collaborating, but what are they collaborating about? It's not so much that they're sitting there together talking about teaching and learning, if the issues that they're speaking about have very little impact on how much and how many kids learn. So my thing is to get teachers involved in what I call authentic professional learning communities. Give them some guidance about really three things. What should they be collaborating about? How should they go about that collaboration? What does it really mean to collaborate? Is it two dominant teachers doing all the talking and the rest sitting around the table? Is that collaboration? I don't think so. But that happens as I visit these schools, and as I visit schools all over, I see this. And these principals hail these as some of their best PLCs. The third thing I think is essential is, in addition to the what are they collaborating about and how are they doing so, is what kind of training or what kind of skill set does the leader of that group have? Something that I think is neglected in popularized literature on professional learning communities. We're not looking at, or that literature often neglects, a very crucial player. One that may be, arguably, more important than the principal when it comes right down to that common planning period. And that is the coach, the person who has been charged with leading the professional learning community to do the important work that lies ahead.